nice and calm. You're almost there.
Yeah, I did it. I cried 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. Let's take it to the stage.
You dig it? You knock a dude down, you get some respect.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Monday to everybody out there. We're on Black Man Unfiltered Network. And hey, listen, come join. We got a good one for you today. I don't know if we talk about this one enough, about this so-called male loneliness crisis. I don't know, it just popped in my head. And I said, well, why don't we talk about it? You know, and more people come in. Maybe y'all can give me some ideas. And let me just shout out to you guys out there. Who's lonely? Which one of you guys are going to be brave enough to come up here and, you know, with a handkerchief and shit and tell the world how lonely you are? You know what I'm saying? Because I want to know who they're talking to. But before we get to that, you know, happy Monday. I hope you've been watching the playoffs if you're football fans. You know, I think the Australian Open, one of the major tennis tournaments should be coming up soon. You know, so there's things to do outside of, you know, just being on YouTube. You know, kiss your wife, or, you know, if you're a lady, kiss your husband, man, you know, say something smart to your children, whatever the hell it is. Enjoy life, you know. You know, so being a guy who's retired from the job, you know, my days bleed together, you know. My days are actually 24/7, you know, 24 hours a day. I'm either up, I might be sleeping, I might be up. It doesn't matter whether the sun is up or down, you know, because I determine where I'm going to be from day to day. It's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, I had a whole bunch of people when they were retiring, getting ready to retire. They said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, well, you know, you can't spend your whole life just working and not having the idea of what you're going to do when you're not working anymore. I think that's a goddamn shame. So I tell guys, and I still talk to people who are still working, make sure you plan out what you might want to do a couple of years before you retire. You know, so when you retire, you can hit the ground running. I didn't know I wanted to be on YouTube. You know, to tell you the truth, I said, you know, I'm not YouTube ready. You got to be pretty. You got to have all your teeth. You got to be all this. I said, fuck it, man. I lived a long time. You don't like me, you know, so what? Who gives a shit? So I said, let me just start my channel. I had a channel for years, but I didn't even know it was a channel. I was just playing around with it. One of my original channels. I got all my daughter's concerts on it because she's a musician. You know, and that's fun, you know. So I have all her recordings, all the bands she's played with, and all that kind of stuff. Good thing about YouTube, it's a nice storage thing, and you don't have to use it, and it's there forever as long as YouTube is still running. But anyhow, so are men lonely? I mean, let me just ask you. I know women want men to be lonely because that helps them justify, you know, why they do the things they do. But we're going to get into that. So we're going to hear a little bit about from the ladies and from some of the sycophantic men who actually buy into this bullshit and drivel that men are lonely and this big epidemic. And, you know, be honest. I mean, guys out there, people in the audience, I want y'all to tell me, you know, how many men have you run into and just kind of boo-hoo, whine and cry on your shoulders that they're so lonely. Holy shit, man. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't get boxed every day, you know, every other day, every month, every year. You know, so we're going to get into that. And one of the things that I found out is that most people, especially women, who talk about the male loneliness epidemic is only in reference to finding men that are useful for them. Not necessarily to make men better, but it's to make men better for them. You know what I'm saying? Don't give a shit how you feel as long as you could be useful to them. So we're gonna go through some of that, and then I'm gonna end up with a clip on a guy who has maybe around a 20-minute clip, and we'll stop and start it on talking about the myth of male loneliness. It's really a myth. It's propaganda. It's all kinds of bullshit. So um, we should have some fun with this. We don't have to take it too seriously. You know, that's the way I see it. Um, so welcome everybody. Come in. I'm gonna try to get us out of here before the Pittsburgh Steelers come on. So I'm not gonna belabor any points unless somebody comes up and we could talk and all that kind of stuff. You're welcome to convince me that men are lonely, and we need somebody to come down from heaven to save us. And of course, the only one who can save us, a woman with with Pandora's box. Anyway, let's go ahead and see where I'm at right now. I know I'm trying to be facetious, but I guess some guys are lonely, but most men are just comfortable being alone. That's how I see it. And I think that might be misconstrued by some as loneliness. And so we'll talk about that. All right. So any man who's lonely, feel free to hit the link and come up and explain to us why you're lonely. I won't interrupt you, and I won't even try to change your mind. I just would like to hear how you would fashion your loneliness. What's the lonely part? You don't have no friends at all, no confidant, no family, or is it just that the women you want reject you? And if I'm not going to pass any judgment, but I'd like to know. I just like to know why are you so lonely? Okay. Like I said, we're going to hear what the ladies are saying about it. And a couple of there's a soy boy I have also. He's talking about lonely, that there's no such thing as male loneliness, only from the standpoint that men are broken, and we need to be more soy boyish, so we won't be so lonely. And I don't know. So let's just talk about it. So before we get started, this is what I want to do, and I think this is fair for all of us. So we're all talking apples to apples and not apples to oranges or anything like that. Let's kind of put up, not a definition, but what's the difference between being alone and being lonely? You know what I'm saying? I guess we should start there. So the rest of this whole presentation or the rest of this whole discussion could be about, whether you're alone and how does that make you feel from an objective standpoint, or are you really lonely? I feel, just out in the wilderness. Nobody's around me. I don't know what to do. I don't know up from down, side from side. Shit, man, I really need somebody to touch me. That kind of loneliness. All right. So, let's oh, wow. Okay. Somebody what are you? You said about, Paul, all right. Well, how do I find that shit, man? Let me see. I haven't done this. Hold on. I might have something for you guys. He set up something for me. I don't know where the fuck it is, man. Okay. All right. I see it. I'm looking in the comments. All right. Is the stream your? All right. What do I have to do anything, or is it going to just show up? That's all right. Hey, what's going on, Eugene? Steel, man. Hey, man. Long time no see. Okay. All right. So I'm on YouTube. All right. Now I got you. I'm sorry. I mean, I haven't done that, but maybe I need to learn more about all the little tricks. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, brother, I'll get to it. But I really personally, I don't see.
So R-Pain, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I put a poll in the actual chat on the Black Men Unfiltered on the Black Men Unfiltered side. So go to YouTube, open up a tab, open up YouTube, go to my
Yeah.
channel, and you'll see the poll in
Oh,
there.
okay. I all right. So I'm on. I gotta. All right. I gotta be out of here. And I thought I did that.
Yeah, and the question for tonight is: are men opting out on modern women? Hell yes or hell no, they lonely. It's a poll.
All right. So do I have to? I have to hit one. Okay. So do I have to hit
I'll
one?
keep we got you in the back here because I'm training someone on the StreamYard anyway. So I got you in the back. I'll just let you.
I see it now, man. I see. I had to hit the other, the right format. I was in the wrong one, so I see it. Okay.
All right, brother. We got you back here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man.
So hey, listen, you guys. If you hear, make sure you hit the poll. Men opting out on modern women. Hell no, they're lonely. You answer that poll. Hit the thing. Let's get some numbers. Let's get the numbers. All right. So as you come in, take the poll. Let me know. Hey, Eugene, what's going on, man? It's been a long time no see, brother. Long time no see. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Alone is physical. Yep. Lonely is emotional. You're absolutely right. So let me get back to this and back to the comments. All right. So, all right, again. So you guys see this, read it. Make sure y'all take the poll. If you go to the YouTube channel and see the poll, take it, and we'll look at the tally later on. And so, really, the subjective nature of loneliness is just that. It's subjective. Who's viewing it and who's determining that some swath of men out there are lonely. I mean, we know that there are lonely men, just like there are lonely women. But is it an epidemic? Is it really, really an epidemic? You know what I'm saying? So we're going to move on from that. So here's what I would say to guys out there. One of the things about men, I think women really and men don't understand that, and so this is not just women centric. Men go through changes. I call it, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, I believe, talked about the law of sexual transmutation. Now, he was generally talking about men who are in their mid-30s, maybe a little older. But I think based on sexual burnout and the fact that everybody's overstimulated, I think there's some men actually a lot younger starting to understand that just chasing box is not productive at all. Men tend to be much more productive if they're not looking at getting laid. They take all that energy that is expended on, trying to get some ass and putting it to more productive things. There are more and more men doing that. They might not know that it's called sexual transmutation or anything fancy like that. That shit that's just written for a book definition. But men have found themselves saying, you know what, the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore. The market has the social media and the women and feminism and the fact that the women are liberal. A lot of them are idiots in terms of dating and what they expect from men. While they don't want to give anything in return. Some men are saying, hey, man, why should I? It's just such a bad freaking deal. It's not a good deal. And if a guy has any experience with women, he knows just getting some box certainly is not worth the deal, right? Because after that's over, after post-nut clarity hits, then what the hell am I doing here? I got women who don't want to cuddle. They ain't got nothing. They ain't going to make me a sandwich afterwards. So why would I open myself up to all the agita with woman A, B, or C if I don't get anything in return but just a sexual transfer? And these days, there's so many different ways for men to get that transfer. It's incredible. And it don't cost them as much, both emotionally or physically. And so I think men, they had a movement on YouTube. It was real big and hot during the real red pill days. men going their own way. And it kind of became like a black pill movement because it had some real rage elements to it. And those rage elements I find were unnecessary because some of the reason why the men were leaving and going their own way were justifiable. You know what I'm saying? They didn't need all of this bullshit that they were getting from women. Like, a woman will come out with a list of 20 things that a man has to do, right? Or 30 things a man has to do or whatever. And in that 5-minute or 10-minute diatribe, she wouldn't name one thing that she's given to that man that has all of these qualities. And, sometimes you have to be able to ferret that out of the bullshit. So does that make a man lonely because he doesn't have a lot of sexual partners? Is he lonely because of that? Some might be. I mean, I guess that's where the incel shit came from, correct? But was the incel an epidemic? I don't know if that was an epidemic. I just think that there was a bunch of men. Listen, I've been in the market. Well, I've been off the market for a lot of years. But in my formative years, from 17 to 25 or 26 or something like that, when I was free, to chase women, there were always guys who couldn't get girls. I just wanted, and I wasn't no real big shake. I mean, women weren't coming up to me and throwing their panties like I was some kind of, whatchamacallit, but
I beg your pardon?
they weren't doing that. But the point really was, I didn't do too bad. Matter of fact, if somebody asked me what my body count was or is, I'm not so sure I'd be so boisterous to say it. I mean, because let me just segue for a second. I was on this other channel and a guy came up and we started talking about body count. Hey, what's your body count? He said, man, I don't know. He said it's so high. And then we started putting out numbers. And then after a while, he said, God, man, I feel kind of dirty. I feel kind of dirty. I could understand women don't want to tell men their body count, because after you put the numbers out there, you think, God damn, shit. Yeah, well, and I like to say that, it's not like I had 100 girls, but it really doesn't take that many women for you to kind of understand what you're getting into. Just like for women who bounce around, it really doesn't take that many men to really find out. But if you're doing it, for women, you lose a little bit more than men do. You just do. You might want to argue about it, but you just do. So are men really lonely? And what makes us lonely? Is it really box at the center of it? Is it really the amount of women we could bang out? Or is it something else? I mean, because when they say, well, men, they don't have a lot of male friends and they don't have this and that. Well, at the same time, they say, well, the bro code, you guys always got bros and blah, blah, blah. So how does that reconcile? You got a lot of fellas that you're hanging out with, you're playing ball, you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're also lonely. They just retreat into playing Madden and shit like that. Well, if I have a guy playing Madden, or not all day long and not doing work and stuff, that's one thing. But spending all his spare time playing a game, some do it professionally, some do it, high stakes, some just do it. Well, if a guy's playing Madden, well, he ain't out on the street doing F shit either. Right? He's not on the street, he's not getting into trouble. And he's making some online friends and things of that nature. So I don't know. I just don't know. So that's just the way that is. So so we're gonna keep going. So the first thing I'm gonna show you is, I call it an icebreaker, but we're gonna try to keep it light, right? Instead of being so serious. I see Trey, man. What's going on? And I see you in the building. Yeah, and that's been just like what you said. Since the dawn of time, most men, don't have kids or don't even get picked, and even now, with women being as promiscuous as they are, I mean, even some of the lower echelon guys are getting boxed. They might be getting boxed from 300 pounders, but they're still getting boxed, you know? And that's, if that's all it's about, then are they really lonely? They might not be satisfied with what they're getting, but are they lonely? And is it just about box? Because when you listen to women talk, somewhere at the end, somewhere in there, they're going to talk about, well, the men don't have, these men between 18 and 30 haven't had one sexual encounter. Okay, let's just say that shit's true. All right. So by definition, because they didn't have any sexual encounters between 18 and 30, that makes them lonely. I would like to see the research on why that makes them lonely. Oh, the fucking guy reinvented the wheel and shit between 18 and 30, but since he didn't get any box, he's lonely. Whereas the woman between 18 and 30 got 100 bodies and she's empowered. So make that shit make sense. Make that make sense. So I don't know. So it's all this whole movement to convince men that we have a problem is bullshit. It's just absolute bullshit, just like the rest of the propaganda that's out there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Maybe we got one. All right. Okay. What's that? IN? Let's just call you INC. I'm definitely lonely, alone, without family, not in love, single, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. I can relate and I support the movement. Well, okay. I hear you, but you don't even have an avatar. So as far as I'm concerned, you're just talking shit. I don't believe a word you put there, So, but if you want to be adversarial, that's fine. That's cool. But I don't believe you. Yeah, I don't. I really don't. Anyway, so
That shit lame as fuck.
Oh man, I gotta love this, man. This is a nice time. I'm having fun. Shit. What else? What else do we have? Okay, so I got this little icebreaker I'm gonna play for you guys. It's kind of icebreaker. It's only a semi icebreaker because the lady's kind of corny, but I still want to play it anyway because her stand up on this one is about male loneliness, and it is kind of corny, but I'm gonna play it anyway.
I don't know if you guys know this. There's like a male loneliness epidemic. You guys know? Clap it up if you heard of the male loneliness. Yeah, just the women. That's cool. And yeah, if you don't know, basically so many men in this country are reporting that they have no one close to them, that they're declaring it an epidemic. And it's crazy because I didn't know epidemic could be lonely guy. I thought epidemic was like medical virus, like COVID-19. But the men in this country are chronically unfucked. They are medically without kisses. And it's terrifying, because it's the first epidemic that spreads through no contact. I'm serious. And the male loneliness epidemic, God, that's so long to say. Can we just call it No Hose 19? I feel for them, because, and if it's medical, get them treatment, send these boys to an improv class, Have you been to an improv show? Okay. I know an orgy when I see one. Those nerds are fucking. And
so they're right there. Okay. And it goes downhill from there. But the point really is that a lot of these conversations, when it comes to male being lonely, centered around whether they're getting some ass or not. I think that's a fundamental flaw in this whole thing that men are lonely because they're not getting any ass. Because we have solutions to that, right? Because if it's just about getting some ass, right, we got solutions to that, right? And I think there's all kinds of, at the point really is the OnlyFans accounts are going up because men are paying for them, correct? Right? So if it's a release they need, they go ahead and they set up their little prayer room or masturbation room and get the lights set up nice, get their favorite lotion and shit, and bring up their favorite OnlyFans model or two. and sit down there and just kind of rub one out. Rub one out. Because, I mean, I guess every man went through some of their rub one out days, and then after you rub one out, you went to play Monopoly with the fellas or play basketball and shit. You feel pretty good for a few days. It didn't cost you no money. We didn't have OnlyFans, but you had to, back in the day, we had the goddamn magazines, so you had to make sure you didn't mess up the favorite page and shit. You know what I'm saying? But today, man, you can set up, you can put the music down and where you want it, man, and the temperature control in the room and shit, and just turn the lights down, make sure nobody's could walk in and lock your fucking door, and make sure nobody busts in on the middle and shit and fuck your little charade going on. So what? Because if women are only important to us because they got a box, it's not enough. And a lot of women ain't offering any more than that. If you're blessed to get something more, you give them money and they give you box. Everything is transactional. And sometimes you give them money and you ain't even getting a box. Okay? All right, so it's, okay, that's a whole nother problem. Like solution to dating relationship issues. Solution getting a box. Listen, most of the dating relationship issues, that we can have a conversation about that on what the issues really are and what people are willing to sign up for in those issues. Because the truth of the matter is there's really no dating issues. This is people getting together under false pretenses. Maybe that's the issue, misunderstandings and stuff like that. Okay, so and then again, we got to put this up here. Of course, marriage is not a solution if you're broken going in. And I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about this. There's a reason why the female population and all these therapists and just lately TD Jakes have tried to corner men like Cam Newton and men like Nick Cannon on saying, why aren't you married? Right? Why don't you get married so they can put all of their fucking fortunes at risk? Because they can't really vet a woman properly when you have that much money. You can't vet, you just can't. At some point, you got to trust her that she's not going to wake up one day and want to do a Tia Mowry and take your shit with her. Even if you have a prenup, right? Because it'll help you. It'll give you a guideline, but is it really sufficient? You know what I'm saying? So it's not a mistake that you see, shysters like Cheyenne Bryant, and TD Jakes talking to Cam Newton. Well, you got all these kids. You're not married or committed to the woman. But not one of them, not one of these fucking people can say to Cam that he doesn't take care of his children. I think they live with him. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say that. So I just think people are not satisfied if men are not in the most vulnerable position to women. It's just the whole fucking society is set up to kind of convince us that there's something wrong with men. And of course, we got some crazy fucking guys out there. Of course, we got some crazy guys out there. But in general, we're no crazier than anybody else. And then there's a significant amount of men who are trying to do better, right? So an epidemic tells me that shit is out of control and out of proportion, and I'm not so sure there's any evidence that says that. All right, what's up, Trey? What's going on, man?
What's good with you, woman?
All right, man. What's happening? Where you been, man? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Who the hell is this nigga you feel the need to entertain?
Yeah, you must be a delay or something. What's that? What you got on this subject, man?
Yeah, I mean, this is a female, pushed agenda to make men seem as though they are less than. And this is right out of the effinism playbook. When in actuality, men have always been this is nothing new. By this definition, men have always been lone. Only 40% of men have actually reproduced. In most cases, most men go their entire life without having kids, without having an abundance of partners, sexual partners, of women. This isn't abnormal. This is why the onus or the weight has always been put on guys who can get a lot of women, because the truth is majority of men can't actually do this, right? I think what's happened is that women used to be able to hang their hat on this, that if I got the guy who can get a lot of women, then I've done something sort of big. But now what we're having is we're having a bunch of guys who have literally just said, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Yeah. And it's not even MGTOW. It's not even SYSBM. It's not even Passport Bros. It's just simply, I'm good. I'm out of this.
Exactly.
So now we got to come up with something. We got to come up with something now, Boomer. Now we got to say, okay, well, these men are not trying to get with these women. There's something wrong with them. Well, how about we label it an infectious disease? How about we say, oh, well, they're in an epidemic now? No, we're not. There is no epidemic. And for a lot of men, even the men who can actually get women,
are starting to
go through slumps. You go through slumps, though.
Right.
Well, any guy who's being honest out here will tell you, yeah, I've had a 6-month slump where I didn't get anything. Yeah, I've gone a year or two without I didn't get it. I didn't have any women. It happens. And then you get an abundance. You get a girlfriend, and all of a sudden, all the women want you all of a sudden because there's social proof there all of a sudden. So this whole thing is just, this is it's another female-led conversation where they have to try to find a way to try to understand that. And here's something I really want to say to you, Arpain, and to anybody who sees this. Women still haven't figured out they've actually been decentered. They haven't figured that part out yet. They've actually been decentered. They don't know what actual decentering is. Remember, they tried the 4B movement, and we're going to decenter men. Oh, we're going to do all this stuff. They have no idea what it actually looks like. I'm telling you now, the fact that you can't get a man to hold the door open for you, the fact that when you go out on a Friday night, a man won't buy you a drink, the fact that when you are carrying something heavy, a man will offer to carry it for you, the fact that when you're on the side of the road and you got a hole in your tire, a man won't help you come fix your tire. You've actually been decentered. Men won't even look at you now. Exactly. The fact that when you walk down the street, you don't get catcalled. The fact that men are trying to talk to you in the gym, you have actually been decentered. Men have actually started to look at you and go, I'm not interested. I'm good. That's actual decentering. And women haven't figured that part out, that men have just decided, I'm good. I'm out of this.
Exactly. I mean, it's really true. And that's why I'm saying it's good for having this conversation. Maybe guys with big platforms and all that should really talk about this, because it's really just bullshit, man. So I got this, but first, before we say bullshit, we got to go through the pain. I got to go through the pain of showing what some people are saying. Okay, I can't just go ahead and say it's bullshit, but I got to give them some, not equal playing time, but some playing time. Who keep putting up this Cam Newton shit? I'm not going to argue with her about Cam Newton, God damn it. I don't care what there's some things about Cam Newton. If he had the money, he came to us, hey, and listen, come here, baby. I got some wine for you from Napa Valley. She'll be right there, Anyway, so, oh, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Man, the Sheed man died. Yeah, he passed away recently. All right, so let me get them and share this.
And Dr. Steele, you're absolutely right. A lot of men have decided to focus on themselves more. They actually see it as more rewarding just to focus on themselves. But I'm gonna tell you something. Unfortunately, as a man, that lever is going to kick in at some point in time where you're going to want to share. There is no point in having all of this stuff and just having it to yourself. As a man, you're going to want to share it at some point in time.
That's very true. All right, so here's a clip that I'm gonna play about a few people talking about men and
a lot of what's going on with men right now. It's loneliness, it's isolation, it's touch starvation, it's suicidality.
Sexlessness as well.
Sexlessness, and it's no individual person's responsibility. But the real problem with this is that these are not problems that men can solve on their own. This is exactly why this is the problem that men are experiencing. Because as men, we are taught to be independent. We are taught to be, you should fix everything on your own. And so men have fixed all of the things that we can fix on our own. The only thing that's left is the things that we must rely on other people for, right? So no one's complaining about, I mean, a lot of men are obese, but there's not like an obesity, there is a crisis, but that's not what's bothering people. That's not where we're losing the war. We're not losing the war on baldness, right? So there are lots of things as a man that you can fix in your own life. It's just the real challenge is that no one is willing to take responsibility for any level of connection with men. And so that's not something that is going to get fixed because you need another human being to hug you. Like you can't hug yourself. It just doesn't work.
All right, so here it is. I mean, he said what he said, right? So, but I still say he's alluding to that other being, and he didn't say it, but he's saying a woman, right? He's saying you are a lonely man if you don't have some woman in front of you willing to give you some box. Now, I'm not going to say it's 100% wrong, but that doesn't make you lonely. It just makes you alone and boxless. You know, if you don't fill that void with other things that you can do, and a lot of men will, a lot of men do, and I don't believe that at some point, or unless you're Quasimodo, right? Unless you're Quasimodo, you're going to actually stumble into some box somewhere, somehow. Even if you trip down the steps, you know, you're going to get, you know, somebody's going to give you something, or you could pay for it. Right? Or you could pay for it, man. You know, I'm not finished with that clip, but I'll get back to it. But you could pay for it. And more prostitution, because women are prostituting themselves all over the place, it's not legal, but it's certainly been decriminalized. Right? Because I think if you had a zealot prosecutor, right? Remember how let me just kind of segue a little bit. They try to put guys in jail for rap music. Right. So if a zealous prosecutor wanted to put women in jail for prostitution, can he just get some of the shit they say over the internet? Can he just say, listen, you are actually, you know, marketing yourself for prostitution over the internet? You could make, even if you don't put somebody in jail, you could make their life, you could cost them a lot of money in legal fees. Trying to defend
you can use that. You can use that to prove intent.
Yeah. And they're saying it freely. Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so let me kind of continue with this because the next guy is going to piss people off, but I had to show him this. Go ahead.
Before you go on, he used two words that men don't use. And this is why I have a problem with these so-called psychologists outside of Psych Hack. Psych Hack is the only one
he's good.
that I really like. But men don't do this touch deprivation thing. He said that men are touch deprived. Yeah. We're not the ones on social media hugging ourselves because nobody hugged us. See, we as men, we've grown up being touch deprived, right? Many of us didn't get hugged as a kid. We got told to get up when things hurt. We got told to push through, to get through it. Endure. Have stamina, move through these things. So this idea that we're like, oh well, we're touch deprived. No, we're not. Because that's not how we weren't raised to be that way. So it's one of my biggest issues. It's one of our biggest issues with psychology is they love to use the female thought process and put it on men. It doesn't work for us.
Why you keep putting this up there? You know what? We don't want you to love men with another boys. That's the funny thing about, hey, and listen, you know what? The funniest thing about women who don't like men with kids, most of the women who have their own kids, the single baby mamas, 65 to 70% of them want a man who doesn't have kids because baby mamas are drama. And guess where I got that from? Medium Man. And the reason why I mention his name, because usually he's like 95% correct or the research that he does. So yeah, most women, you know, can't stand themselves because that's why they want men who are single. So they're actually reaching too high. So let me go ahead and finish. The next guy, if you didn't like this first guy, Trey, this soy boy is going to get you. This soy boy is going to get you.
To any man who watches this video, I hate to break it to you, there is no male loneliness epidemic. It is male self-imposed exile. There is no epidemic. You brought this on yourselves. It's not because women hate you very specifically or women are scared of you. No. It's because you move in ways that disrespect women. It's because you act strangely around women. It's because you don't treat them like people, but as things to be attained. You get that? There is no epidemic. There is no sinister plot against men. You are not discriminated against. You are weird. You are strange, and you are unsettling to be around, and you make women uncomfortable. That's it. Listen, you want the epidemic to end? Just try treating women like people. That's my recommendation.
This nigga's a homosexual.
Yeah, okay. So the soy boy, you know, with his glycerin fingernail polish and, you know, so he came from a different angle. Now, first of all, men didn't come up with this so-called male loneliness epidemic, right? We would have lived halfway. If nobody ever mentioned that shit, it certainly wasn't a man who came up with saying we're under some kind of epidemic. At least no man that's not a soy boy. Yeah, so, but you know, is anything he said have any truth to it? Because we do have some creeps out there. But
he's right about. Yeah, he's right about two things. Okay, he's right about two things. There is no loneliness, male loneliness epidemic. He's right about that.
That's right,
and he is right that there are some creepy men out here who don't know how really to behave around women. He is correct.
Right.
Those two things he is correct about. He is incorrect when he is saying that there isn't a national agenda to emasculate and demonize being a man. He is incorrect about that, and that nobody's out here seeking for men to not be men. Yes, there's entire movements for this, sir. They put millions of dollars behind this. Lest I remind you, the Democratic Party had to round up 20 million just to find out why they didn't masculinity in their party.
So they asked a woman to head it up.
And then they asked the woman to head it up. So this idea that there isn't a targeted attack or an agenda on masculinity is incorrect, sir. You want to know how I know? Because you are a victim of it. I can look at you and tell you're a part of this. They got to you with your hair, your nails, and the dark, the soft lighting and the soft features of your face. You don't have a rounded jaw because you've probably never been in a fight in a day in your life, right? Nothing about you scream. And this is the thing, Arpain. We have to understand that we are just dealing with a lot of men who get on here and have these things to say about men. These guys have never actually done any man shit in their life. Like never. They've never done anything. They've never put anything together. They've never fixed anything. They've never painted. They've never sanded. They've never sawed or cut a board. They've never fixed the change the oil on the car, change the tire. They've never done anything that would even be close to being a man. And yet they're going to sit up here and tell us what we should be doing as men. No, sir. So here's the thing. You want to know what happened here? What happened here with this entire situation with women is there was a movement that came in that sought to eradicate men. And it worked.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about it. It worked. Feminism worked. We gotta say it. You gotta call it what it is. You guys win. Men have just said you win. You win. You got it.
Yeah, and we can. There's so many ways you can even go with that, because every time I see a liberal woman elected to higher office, I think that's one more dagger in America's survival. One more dagger, or some soy boy like or a black traitor like the mayor of Chicago. So I'm just telling you. So there's one little small piece to this one, and let's just go ahead.
Video attracted 3 million views, and let's have a look at it. Let's work out why. This is Shoe on Head's video, The Male Loneliness Epidemic.
I regret to inform you the men are not okay. That's right, folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
Okay, hang on. There is a lot to unpack there. Surely men aren't lengthening their legs. Surely that's not a thing.
Limb lengthening. It's a thing. This is where the bone is cut and slowly pulled apart. And this is what's going to stretch the bone out and make it longer.
Have you heard about men getting the 4-inch leg extension?
I don't know what the is going on.
People are losing their fucking minds.
Man.
Yeah, okay, they are. That's, you fucking proved me wrong there. What the fuck, gents? But surely no one is listening to AI Batman to stop them jerking off.
I understand that quite a few of you out there are dealing with a pornography addiction. If you are struggling, I want you to know that you have my support and that I'm here to help you through this.
Gee, thanks, Bruce. There goes all of men everywhere's credibility. Fucking fantastic. Shoe on Head, whose real name is June, which is a much nicer name than Shoe on Head. People being repulsed by the family unit is crazy. It is the best thing that I've ever done.
But according to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
The fuck is happening to old love on the left? Does she require some sort of assistance?
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right. Yeah, men, stop listening to that derogatory music.
Okay. So single men are bad, single women are good and powerful. Which all of this, and when we hear this as young dudes, we see ourselves as the villain, and this just compounds this loneliness and hatred that builds up in our heads, and we just think we're pieces of shit. Like, imagine treating a dog like this. Imagine like raising it from a puppy and saying you're a bad dog, you're a worthless piece of shit. How can you expect that dog to grow up and be a fantastic member of the society? It's not going to happen.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. When nigga slap fire out.
Incredible, man. That's incredible. I mean, that's the kind of shit that freely gets over. That woman on there had like 3 million views, right? Talking about this. Man, it's incredible. You know, it's absolutely incredible. Okay, so this, you know, this is a black man unfiltered. He likes to put up a Nissa's shit up here. It's what a bad thing, though. Well, you know, the point really is, and this, men are focusing on themselves, and you're coming up with shit saying them focusing on themselves is a bad thing, right? Because we're not centering women around what we're doing. That's the point. There's a whole bunch of men out there saying, hey, yo, you know, all of this is a waste of time and money and energy. I might as well do something productive with my time. And getting boxed is not as productive in the old ways as it used to be, especially if I'm not thinking about getting married. And having a girlfriend is kind of probably as much agita, really, as getting married almost. Lord.
Facts.
Boomer, this is simple math, and this is what a lot of women don't understand. If you take a guy who graduates college at 22, and he takes 10 to 15 years to get himself together to get to a point, and then he gets to the end of the finish line and he gets to choose the women he wants, why would he choose women his age?
Right.
See, they don't do long-term thinking, which is why y'all can't be in charge of anything, because you guys don't process properly. If men spend 10 to 15 years fixing themselves so they can become suitable mates, that actually hurts women.
Right.
It hurts women. He's going to be fine.
Right.
He's going to be all right at 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 when he's ready to actually start a family. She will not.
Right. And she's mad. She's mad that she spent her 20s fucking around and expect those guys at the finish line to come clean up the bullshit.
To choose her.
Right. Get the fuck out of here.
This is disgusting.
The whole mentality is jacked up. What you actually want is you want to be in that same, you want to run the race with him. You want to be beside him while he's running this race so that you guys can finish to cross the line together. And that way he doesn't have to choose from the women waiting at the finish line because he had the woman that was right there with him when he was running the race the entire time. But a lot of older women, 50 plus, keep giving horrible advice to younger women, which is why they are where they are. The truth of the matter is we want to talk about a real epidemic. It's not the men who are lonely.
Exactly.
All you have to do is go on TikTok. They'll tell you how lonely they actually are.
The biggest word for this whole shit is projection. It's a projection. It's a goddamn projection. You know, it's funny. And the thing that women don't realize is that if you get the woman and she's with you and you built something, she actually trusted you to lead, those men are loyal. Men are loyal. I mean, in my family, you know, it used to be a saying, and if you got a pain man, you don't have to worry about shit because he ain't going nowhere. Right? All of my uncles, everybody stayed married because they got some good women. And so the point really is that if you were with a guy in his formative years, he's not going to be the dude who's going to wake up that next day, one day, and say, I graduated from you. I'm going somewhere else. That whole thing about men just using the women and then throw them out. Yeah, some men have done that, but that's not the majority. Men don't leave for the most part.
But this is what they love to do. The same thing with this leg lengthening thing. You could probably count on two hands how many men have actually done this. There's over 100 million men in the United States, but they pick 2 or 3 guys and say, oh, the men are doing this. No, men are not doing this. Those particular few small group of men who actually went through with this, they did it. We, and the majority of men, do not do that.
Absolutely. It's nobody's doing that shit, man. I can't, just thinking about it is crazy. You know, I couldn't imagine to do that.
Well, Boomer, this is TikTok brain. This is women and their TikTok brain, because what they do is they follow trends. So when they see something, they think, oh, this is a trend. This is not a trend. Men are not going to get leg lengthening surgery at large quantities. It's not happening. We're not doing this en masse. But they think that because every year, or every quarter, they got a new trend that men do the same thing. No, we don't do this. The majority of men are individual and independent thinkers. We look at stuff like that and go, that's stupid. I'm not doing that.
Right. Yeah, we're not doing that. Not doing that stupid shit. You know, I got one more thing that I'm gonna show of a woman trying to explain to men why we got an issue. Now she's got 6 points, but I'm gonna move it here and there, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But I'm gonna just jump through the fluff because she got fluff before it and fluff after it, right? But I'm gonna hit the point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, point 6, and we could kind of judge whether she's on point with what she's saying, or if it's a projection, or is it something that's not. I don't want to taint it any more than it's already tainted. But let's go ahead and look. All right. It's this honey right here, but we're gonna jump all the way to, I think, right here.
To shift it. The first behavior that I want to talk about here that leads to loneliness is you've replaced real connection with distractions. One of the most common patterns I see is when distractions start replacing real connection, whether it's scrolling on TikTok, watching YouTube, playing video games, or endlessly consuming content. It's really easy to feel like you're doing something or connecting with people when really you're just keeping yourself from feeling lonely. And to be clear, these things aren't necessarily bad in moderation. I love a good Netflix binge like anyone else, but if you're using screens as a substitute for people, especially when you're feeling down or disconnected, you're just pushing the feeling further down. And over time, the things that helped you escape loneliness at one point end up usually reinforcing it. The next behavior that
before she goes on, is she talking about a man or a woman?
No, that's the first thing I was thinking. Boom! I was like, is she talking to a man? Talking to a woman? Who is she talking to?
What are we talking about? The only thing she's doing there that might be video games. You know what I'm saying? But
but men have never used video games as a distraction.
Right.
Men have used video games as a release.
Exactly.
Completely different.
Exactly.
But she wouldn't know that because she doesn't understand men.
That she does not a
dumbass.
I'm sitting there listening to her. I said, who are you talking about, baby? All right. So, okay, let's go to number 2. So
leads to loneliness is you tell yourself that you don't need anyone. I think a lot of men grow up being told directly or indirectly that needing people makes you weak, that you should be independent, self-sufficient, tough. It's sort of that like lone wolf mentality. But loneliness is not a weakness. It is a basic human signal that something is off. We are wired to connect, whether you're a man, a woman, an introvert, or extrovert. You don't have to be surrounded by people all the time, but if you're always convincing yourself that you're better off alone, you might be trying to protect yourself from rejection or disappointment when what you really want is to feel seen and supported. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is a basic, fundamental human need. So don't ever feel bad about that. And I say that as someone who loves my alone time, but even I have learned that we all need relationships that matter, even if it's just a few close ones. The next behavior.
all right. It was when, as soon as she started out by saying, I said, wait a minute, man, we all just spent 50 years of hearing women saying, I need to be strong and independent and all that shit. But all of a sudden there's a male epidemic. Oh, that shit was so funny. I said, okay, I'm gonna struggle through listening to the rest of this shit, what she's talking about. She might as well have a room full of women and just talk to them about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because
this is one of the reasons why men, I'm fully on board with this. Men have got to stop interacting with women on social media. You have to. You have to stop interacting with them because they're not talking to you. They're not talking to you as a man.
Yeah.
Anytime they put anything on TikTok, they're not talking to you. Even when they're talking about the guy that they want, or the guy or guys they want, they're talking about a specific guy. They're not talking about you. This woman is not talking to men. She's clearly talking to women. Clearly.
She is. I mean, you know what? Maybe her title was just clickbait for some reason, you know. I mean, because man, I said, wait a minute, lady, you just anyway. So here's number 3.
Behavior is you don't have a support system outside of dating. This is something that I see a lot, especially in men. When a romantic relationship ends,
I have to stop it. You know what? She's either gaslighting us or lying, because that's not true at all.
It's so not true. Man.
Yeah, it's just not true. What are you talking about?
You can stop it.
The boys all the time. What are you talking about? You playing a video game, you're doing this, you're doing everything but giving me your fucking divided attention, up to and including working.
You're not.
I literally watched a video yesterday. I literally watched a video yesterday of a guy whose girlfriend kicked him out, and his boys pulled up with trucks to help him pack his stuff and so he can leave. What are you talking about, lady?
Yeah, man, what's she talking about? Hey, man, I just said, wow, you know, I said, I gotta play this shit through because she's crazy. I mean, she's not only, she's doing it with such a calm face. You know, I said, wait a minute, man, this is exactly female behavior you're talking about.
You have absolutely no one at all, because a lot of men don't have strong platonic relationships.
Okay, so we don't have women around us that we don't want to bang. And we ain't supposed to. You know, platonic what?
Just say, I don't understand men. Just say that. It's so much easier just to say, I don't understand men.
You know, I mean, of course, when she said platonic relationships, she's saying you can't be around women without wanting to poke their asses. No. You know, not
how dare I be a man? It's my problem.
This is so funny, man. It's great. I'm glad I found her.
Maybe you used to have guy friends in high school or college, but life got busy, you moved, and those friendships just...
Okay, so first of all, when you use the word platonic, you don't use that when men have friends. We ain't gay. We don't have to declare it's platonic.
Every male friendship is platonic. Every male friendship is platonic. I'm not trying to bring my homeboys. What's wrong with this lady?
When it was, man, this shit is so fun. Oh my God, man. Just finished playing this.
This is
shit,
hilarious, Boomer. This is funny.
Sort of faded. And instead of trying to build new ones or sort of tend to those older ones, it just stops. And here's a huge problem. Relying on a romantic partner to be your only emotional outlet is a lot of pressure for both of you. You need guy friends, you need a community, and you need someone that you can talk to about what's going on in your life, even the difficult stuff. Not having that doesn't just make you feel lonely, it makes everything more difficult because you feel like you're doing everything alone. And again, as someone who loves to be alone, I love my alone time so much. I'm an only child. I've spent a lot of time alone in my life. I still need people and friends around me too. And I can't just rely on my husband to be that one person for me. I think it is so important to make sure that you're still putting time and effort and energy into the platonic relationships in your life as well. The next behavior.
All right, so her husband's a soy boy. Her husband allows her to go talk to other men and get advice and how are things going. This is my platonic friend. He ain't looking at the cleavage and the warm silky arms that I have and the nice suckable lips. He's just trying to help me out. Husband, you got to trust me. That dinner he cooked for me really didn't, it was good because he's such a good cook. We had a nice conversation, and you home with your husband. Oh, it's John. I just, hey, honey, I'm gonna take this right now. And I'm going around the room. I talk to, what the fuck, man?
Go find your flat Pillsbury biscuit pink pudding pop. Go get your flat assed Pillsbury dough biscuit pink Pop Tart and get your ass up off my life.
Listen, hey, Trey. Okay, this woman is an attractive woman. Okay, she's nice looking. She don't have to be a 10. She's a nice looking woman. Can you imagine just hanging out with her, and your mind is completely not thinking about bending her over?
No.
It's unbelievable.
Behavior is that you avoid vulnerability. This one is huge. And I totally get why a lot of guys hesitate to open up. Maybe you've been laughed at. Maybe you've had your feelings totally dismissed. Maybe you were never really taught how to express your emotions in the first place, or to even sort of understand what it is that you're feeling.
I think when women use the vulnerability card, that's when they show that they really hate us. Okay.
They want us to be vulnerable, Boomer, because that's their entrance into manipulation. If you are not vulnerable with a woman, she cannot manipulate you, and therefore she doesn't know how she's gonna get to that next level with you. They have to be able to attack your vulnerabilities, because now I can get you to do things that I want you to do.
Absolutely. I mean, they got that, man. It's the level of control, man. Every time I hear a woman talk about that, the V word is the new F bomb. I mean, you're crazy. I'm sitting down here, being vulnerable. What the fuck does that mean? In the context of our, oh man, sheesh.
And what she should be doing
is
she should be telling women what to do if you are lucky enough that a man chooses to be vulnerable with you.
Absolutely.
That's the conversation she should be having. She should be telling these young women, hey, if a man chooses to be vulnerable with you, here's what you do. Here's how you react. Here's how you deal with this, because you're probably going to hear something that you weren't expecting to hear, because we don't understand the male experience.
And once you break that trust, you ain't getting it back. You're not getting it back.
Never getting it back.
Yeah, now at least you shouldn't ever.
Or misunderstood leads a lot of men to just keep everything inside. People can't connect with a version of you that is always fine. You gotta be a little vulnerable. And I know a lot of you hate that word, but it's so true. Even in friendships, especially male friendships, I think a lot of men really struggle with this. There needs to be some level of realness, of being willing to talk about more than just sports or work or whatever's happening on Reddit. You don't always.
Okay.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Yeah, but I was hoping you was gonna stop it there, because actually that's who we are the most vulnerable with.
That's right.
Is your friend group. You want to know why
believe-
I can be vulnerable with my homeboy? What the
Uh-huh.
guys I grew up with that I've been friends with for over 30 years, want to know why I can be vulnerable with them? Because they're not going to use it against me later.
Right. Right.
They're not going to try to embarrass me or humiliate me or manipulate me later. They actually understand the male experience, and in most cases, they've been through it. If I come to Boomer and say, "Hey, I'm going through this," Boomer can say, "You know what? When I was your age, I went through that shit too. Let me tell you how I got through this."
Yeah. A friend of mine, right? His wife cheated on him, right? I didn't expect, had the experience of wife. I said, listen, man. I said, I know she's your wife, and I don't have that experience, but any man who's been dated a woman got cheated on. Any man who had a girlfriend got cheated on. So just trust me, even though you got just a little bit more deep, you'll get through it. You'll get through it. I mean, this. I had to talk him off the ledge. He was thinking some serious shit. Man, his girlfriend he got now, oh man, she is. I mean, he's in a perfect position now. It took him years to get there, but man, she is something else. Anyway,
you can sum up this entire video by saying this woman has no idea how men operate.
No. Hey, Big Ant, man, where you been, man? $5 to the show, man. Stop lying, Payne. You know you're lonely. Man, shoot. I'm trying to think. Was I ever lonely? I've been alone. I mean, what's the pang of loneliness, man? Shit, I grew up in the Bronx, man. You can't feel, even if you wanted to be, you can't be alone. Oh, yeah.
What's all that movement back there?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So she's on a roll. Okay, let's go ahead.
To keep it surface level, and it doesn't mean you have to spill your soul to everybody, but if you never show what's going on beneath the surface, you'll always feel like no one really knows you, and that is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. All right, behavior number 5 is that you have stopped reaching out. This one is a quiet habit that slowly creeps in over time, and that is waiting for others to make the first move all the time. You stop texting people, you stop inviting anyone to hang out. You tell yourself, well, if they wanted to talk to me, they would. And sometimes that's true, but often the people in your life are just as busy or distracted or as anxious as you are. If you always wait for other people to initiate, your world gets smaller and smaller until one day you realize that you haven't had a meaningful conversation in weeks. And
this is the one that she's right about. She's right about this one. It's not just this is not a man issue. This is a person issue, but she's right about this. But pointing this at men is the only thing I could argue at, because this is a life lesson. This one is a
Boomer.
Trust me, guys.
This is a personality trait. Either you're extroverted or you're introverted. I don't reach out to my friends to hang out with them, but unless there's something that comes up and I'll say, "Hey, what y'all doing? Y'all want to watch the fight?" You know what I mean? This is a personality thing. Meanwhile, I have another homeboy who is always the leader and say, "Come on, y'all, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do this," because that's his personality.
Yes.
This woman has no idea what she's talking about.
But here's the point I'm trying to make is, but the first point you made is correct. What I'm saying is she's talking about a person who actually is closing themselves off. And I don't think that's good for anybody. But because when I was in college, I had this guy, one of the seniors I talked to, I said, man, shit. And he's a dude, man. We over here smoking cheap, whatever we was doing. I said, hey, listen, man, you know what, man? I always have to call my friends. They don't call me. I have to always reach out to them. I said almost exactly. He said, listen, man, if you're waiting for people to call you, man, you may never get a call. What you going to do then? So from that standpoint, I can say I understand, because because I'm not necessarily an extrovert either, right? So even the people around me in my real life, I got this little cubby hole that I'm very comfortable in, but I reach out every so often. I get calls back, but I know where she's coming from. But I think two things could be said from the standpoint of where she's coming from and trying to make that a male problem. I have issues with that. Like you said,
I think this is a human thing. And also what's happening in your life could also dictate whether or not you're closing people off or not. That has nothing to do with man or woman. That has to just do with life, living life.
Exactly.
I've had to push myself on this one too, because I have realized that connection doesn't just magically happen. You have to tend to it like a plant. it dies if you don't water it. So you've got to tend to your relationships. I think a lot of us feel this fear of initiating or reaching out a lot of the time because we're afraid of rejection. We're afraid that they're going to, you know, in a roundabout way, say that they don't want to hang out with us, or maybe they won't even reply at all and we'll feel dumb and stupid and awkward. But I think it's worse to not initiate and not try at all than it is to just put yourself out there and try. And then there's, of course, the story.
Okay, so
Is she talking about dating or friend groups?
You know, she was just talking about reaching out, because the point really is that men have put themselves out there from, forget about this newfangled bullshit we're going through. Men routinely get themselves into a position where they're going to get rejected, especially when they're talking to women. I mean, you know, it's like a second skin, right? I mean, it's only recently where men got too afraid to go and try to approach women. It was just something that we had to do. Now, she's just talking about in general friendship, but she's using words like, I don't have that same fear of rejection from somebody I just want to reach out and talk to as a friend or something, or to hang out with, whether they say no or not, you know. But if you can get over the fear of reaching out to a stranger, a woman, to get a date, I think the other stuff is kind of, it's I don't know. Which one would be more impactful?
Right, that's why I was asking. Is she talking about dating? Is she talking about friends? I have no fear of asking my friends to hang out. I have no fear at all.
No, I don't feel like
I do it all the time.
Yeah. I don't feel like going to the movie. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like running, you know. So what's more impactful than you going up to, honey, listen, you know, and trying to find a way to get her phone number, and she looked at you and a little bit of vomit comes up in the back of her throat and shit, and you walk away with your head, you know, try to walk away without your head down.
Look, I'm a firm believer that you should only approach women if you have an abundance mentality. If you don't have an abundance mentality, don't approach women, because you're going to. Right. Here's the thing: rejection is their default thing. Women will actually like. I'm serious. Women will actually like you, and will reject you, because it's just a default in them to just say no. Like, oh no. Especially when you start to add in feminism, you start to add in hyper independence, and you start adding all these things in, they automatically get to this I just don't like men sort of ideal. So you can approach a woman, she could actually deep down inside be like, you know what, I actually kind of like him. And she could just say, you know, no, I'm good. I got a boyfriend, or whatever the case may be. And it's just a default reaction to them. If you have an abundance mentality, the no's mean nothing because you don't care. You know, you're just moving on to the next. But if you have a scarcity mentality as a man, I highly suggest you don't approach women, because every no that you're going to get, and you're going to get a lot of them, every no that you're going to get is going to actually be more destructive to you rather than it actually helping you.
Absolutely.
Necessarily, I'm talking about platonic friendships, like friends, guy friends in your life. Reach out to them. And behavior number 6, you tie your worth to achievement. This one hits so hard, especially for men. I think a lot of men don't feel worthy of connection unless they've hit a certain milestone, whether it's their income, career, fitness, status. So if they're not where they want to be necessarily, they might isolate themselves. You might be saying things to yourself like, oh, well, I'll put myself out there more when I've made it, when I've achieved this goal. I don't have anything to offer right now, so I'm just going to wait. Or I'm not proud of where I'm at, so I'll just.
She just, you know, we could listen to it, but the point I'm saying is, she's saying men shouldn't listen. I don't even know how to eloquently say this, but men spend their life to achieve. Achievement is one of the primary fucking things we do as men. Trying to, move from here to there, set, hit your goals and, reach your dreams and shit like that. Strive. And she's saying, well, that should be important to you, just like
don't attach your worth to this. And it's like, but I'm so confused by it. This one is the worst one in my opinion, because I'm like, this literally doesn't make sense. And again, like I said, she could have saved us 5 minutes by just saying, I don't understand men, so I'm going to babble a bunch of stuff that makes no sense because I don't understand how men operate. Men are attached to achievement because that's all we've ever done our entire life. And on top of the achievement has a base and a foundation of competition. It's based on beating the next man.
Right. It's a natural instinct. I mean, I think it's a natural instinct that that has been beaten out of men. Right? I mean, from the dawn of time, men had to achieve in order to, eat, to eat. Everything you did was around achieving something that made you useful to your tribe, to yourself, to the women, to the kids, all that shit, man. What's she talking about? And she said, well, if you center everything around that, anyway, she is funny, man. Anyway, but anyhow, but I just want to show you she's out there. There's people listening to her, right? They don't have me and you kind of dissecting this shit. There's a whole lot of guys on the teeter-totter that might be listening to that might actually buy this shit. Oh yeah, anyway. But anyhow, that's the last thing I wanted to say from her.
Yeah, and then they'll be frustrated when the man that they want isn't the man that they want.
Right.
Because everything she's listing here is not in a man that's going to be attractive in the long.
No, not the one she's going to be attracted to at all. That's fine. What am I doing here? All right, there you go. All right, so listen, man. So again, I just wanted to, and I spent a lot of time on the fact that there's a lot of information going out there to tell us that we have a problem. Maybe I spent a little bit more time than I wanted to, but just so we could keep going, let's start talking about people who are saying, this is all bullshit. And I just think that, in the last, I got a couple more clips. The next one is really short. It's really short. Let me go ahead and share this one. It's really short. And all right.
Well, my first question is it real? In this essay, I will prove to you that it is in fact not real. First and foremost, the reason why the male loneliness epidemic is not real is because it literally does not exist. Literally. I'm not talking figuratively. I mean, it literally does not exist. According to the 2022 Cigna Group report on the, quote, loneliness epidemic, 57% of men and 59% of women reported experiencing loneliness. And this is a study that was taken over the course of several years. So right off the bat, women are, even though it's, first of all, we're pretty much the same, and women are slightly higher.
Story. Right. Yeah, man, stop listening
All right, so there you go. So I mean, there you have it. That was a short one, and I just wanted to play that one just so I can get it out of the way. Let me get her off the screen. And the last one is the one we'll spend some time with. This guy talks about the myth of what we're talking about, male loneliness.
I want to talk to you about the male loneliness epidemic.
I would like to say something about the male loneliness epidemic.
The male loneliness epidemic.
Did you all know that there's a male loneliness epidemic in the United States right now?
The male loneliness epidemic, blah, 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 blah.
Ah, yes, the male loneliness epidemic. That thing you can hardly go a day without a whole bunch of desperate, lonely, man-hating women making videos about and taking great delight in believing that it's true. That thing where they're finding strength and independence and absolute glee in believing that men are lost, men are lonely and desperate, and that they can't find a date, can't find a woman. I mean, the fact that they're celebrating and finding joy from it pretty much tells you just how toxic today's modern women are. But that's not the point of this video. No, my friends, what we're going to be talking about is whether or not the claim that there is a male loneliness epidemic is actually true. Or is it yet another delusion that women have concocted to attack men with? I'm going to explore that question and show that not only is there not a male loneliness epidemic, but in fact, men are now thriving as they continue to walk away from dating, marriage, and women in general. Hi, my name is Dan, and you're watching Men Need to Be Heard, the channel where we speak out on the issues that men and boys face, and where we serve as their voice in telling it like it is, like it really is. And as I said in this video, we're going to dig into the latest narrative making the rounds on social media, that so-called male loneliness epidemic. And if you've spent any time on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts over the past few months, you've seen it. Video after video of women smugly declaring that men are miserable, they're lonely and suffering because, well, they can't find a woman. They're running around declaring that they're the ones walking away from relationships, marriage, and modern dating. And as usual, it's projection masquerading as concern. And it's not just a couple of creators doing it, it's a viral narrative, a narrative that's been created to put men down, put them in their place, and apparently try to make the men feel bad about themselves. And what's so revealing isn't just how often they're repeating it, it's, as I said earlier, how much joy they seem to be taking in the idea that men are suffering. And if you notice, none of these videos have any calls for women to self-reflect, to ask themselves, could we be part of the problem? None of them are saying, are we the reason that men are walking away? Nope. It's nothing but a victory lap for them. A chance to mock and belittle men and congratulate themselves for winning at a game that men have chosen to no longer play. And it puts into perspective just how toxic today's women have become towards men. That their hatred of men, so much so that they take some sort of perverse pleasure in thinking that men are suffering, is what's driving them. And yet, if you actually listen to men, if you go into the comment sections on videos like this, or say literally every video I've ever done on this topic, you'll find tens of thousands of men saying the exact same thing. We're not lonely, we're free.
You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, listen, we say no from the opening video, right? You know, like the words like hate men, hate this, hate that. I mean, if we could scratch that aside, there's certainly contempt for men. I like that word a little bit better. And so, but he's going to start to get into really I think what he calls facts or where this shit came from. So that's why I thought I like this opening thing, because it's true. Men are just, like I said, it's not MGTOW. Men are just saying, yeah, shit, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the bullshit.
The reality is, men are finding peace in solitude, peace in hobbies, brotherhood, fitness, business, and travel, peace in not having to worry about losing half their life savings, their home, or access to their children in a no-fault divorce. And here,
stop it right there again. I've seen a lot of times when they have cornered a goofball like Cam Newton, or less than a goofball, but like Nick Cannon. And it seems like so many women are and some now men, like, because TD Jakes had a thing with Cam Newton, trying to convince him that it would have been better for him to have been married. And he completely overlooks the fact that Cam told him and said 1,000 times, I'm not afraid of being married. I'm absolutely terrified of divorce for the express reason that he can't vet a woman that he can trust. Now that he has the money, right? He said, if I would have found one before I had the money, maybe. He said, now I can't. He doesn't know. What do you think about that, Trey?
It doesn't matter if you vet her and you can trust her. That's the part that these guys don't understand.
All right.
It doesn't matter. The problem isn't the institution of marriage. The problem is the fact that you can get out of this institution of marriage just because you want to.
Right.
That's the problem. And Cam has been trying to explain this for a long time, and nobody will listen to him. They won't take him seriously. The quack doctor Cheyenne Bryant won't listen to him. The pulpit pimping TD Jakes won't listen to him. Nobody will listen to him, but he keeps trying to tell you it's not marriage. It's the same thing for me. It's not marriage. That's the problem. It's the problem. The problem is that 8 years from now, she can wake up on a Tuesday morning and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And then when you say, well, what's the issue? Well, there is no issue. Is he cheating on you? No. Is he beating you? No. Well, what's the problem? Why? I just don't want to do it anymore. I feel closed off. I feel like I'm in a box. I feel like I can't do this and I can't do that. Whatever. You know what I mean? You have all these reasons for why, but there's no institution that says there's nothing wrong with your marriage. Go home.
Right.
And until you have that come back into the American marriage system, men are not going to do this. Because what we've realized is after 1969 and Ronald Reagan, what we realized is that women just got out of marriage just because they wanted to. There was actually nothing wrong.
Right.
They just didn't want to do it anymore. Or the trend is, like it is right now, the trend is hate men. That's the trend right now. Just hate all men. You want to get some easy numbers on social media? Just say you hate men. That'll do great numbers. Right. So you have all of this stuff, wrapped up. And it's like, well, why would I want to invest not only financially into it, but emotionally and mentally into it? Why would I want to invest into this?
Right. It's you know, it's funny that you had to hit the nail on the head. BMU had a lady up here who is, you know, vehemently against changing the laws, and I forgot her name. She was just briefly, we're closing the show, vehemently opposed to getting rid of no-fault divorce. And I told her, so listen, I hear if you come back up here, we're going to have a good debate on that, or whatever debate, because it won't be that much of a debate because you're wrong. And, you know, and we never got into it because the show was closing. I mean, I sit back here and says, well, there's no judge in this whole country that's going to make a woman stay with a man if he's beating her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, or even if he's cheating on her, you know, they might say if she wants to get out because of infidelity or breaking the vows that way, he's hurting the kids or he's hurting her, nobody's going to make her stay in a marriage. No fault divorce. It's been overcome by events years ago.
There's policies in place to protect women from these things.
Right.
Does anybody know what VAWA is? VAWA is?
No.
VAWA, it's an entire act that is for women, and it's Violence Against Women Act. It's an entire act. There is no Violence Against Men Act, by the way. There's no Violence Against Men Act. It's a Violence Against Women Act, right? And I know about this because I was looking at K-1 visas, and one of the things that you have to be aware of when you bring a woman from another country is they'll pull this VAWA thing and say, oh, he's beating me, so now I get to stay in the country because I'm a victim. And so if I'm a victim, then I get to stay here now. So as I was doing my research, I'm like, now I see how they do this. There are things in place to protect women. So the fact that you go into a court, you say, hey, look, my husband's been beating me. Here is documentation. This is a police report on this day. This is a police report on this day. Here's pictures of my bruising. Here's pictures of this. There is not a judge in this country that's going to tell you to go home and go be with that man.
Yeah, go home and get some more of that, man. You deserve it. You know, it's bullshit. And so anyway,
even if you were in the wrong and even if you started it.
Right.
Even if you were in the wrong and even if you started it, if that man put his hands on you to the point where there is visible injuries on your body and or he actually assaulted you in any way, there is no judge in this country that's going to say you need to go home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the part they really don't want to talk about or admit. Most of the guys are happier, far happier now than they ever were chasing women, chasing modern dating. In 2023, the Pew Research Center published a report that showed over 60% of men under the age of 30 were now choosing to be single. Now, in many of the videos these women are making, you'll hear them crowing about that and the fact that only 34% of women in the same age group are single, as if it's some kind of win. But the part they're leaving out, the part most of them don't want to know about and certainly don't want to discuss, is that 60% of men who were choosing to be single were reporting satisfaction with their singlehood, not despair. Contrast that with only 45% of the single women being happy. Add to it, the more recent American Family Survey showed that less than 12% of liberal women, as in the ones most likely to be making these videos, are completely satisfied with their lives. 12%. Yet it's that very 12% that are making most of these videos. And the reason for that is simple. They're miserable. And as the saying goes, misery loves company. That group of women has latched onto this paradigm as gospel, and they're using it to try and convince more women that being alone, being unwed, being undated, unwanted, and unmarried is the way to go. But where did that narrative come from? Was it from a scientific study, as they often claim, or was it something different? Let's explore the origins and find out the real truth. So where did this supposed male loneliness epidemic narrative come from? Is there any actual data to support it? As we're about to find out, the answer is no. No, there isn't. The whole thing traces back to a 2022 article in Psychology Today titled "The Rise of Lonely Single Men" by Greg Matos. In it, Matos claimed that men are becoming increasingly isolated in modern dating markets due to the rise in relationship standards from women. He cited vague trends from dating apps and mental health data, but the article was entirely speculative, not based on any peer-reviewed science or study. It wasn't based on anything more than Mr. Matos's opinion. An opinion of someone who, by the way, while he doesn't overtly admit to being a feminist, shows consistently in his writings the typical white knight male feminist ideals and tendencies that so many of his ilk tend to espouse. And despite the lack of facts, and I'd argue because of Mr. Matos's feminist tendencies, within days, feminist media outlets from The Guardian to Vice to BuzzFeed latched onto it like it was gospel. They declared that it was based on peer-reviewed science, when in fact it wasn't based on any science at all. It was based on assumptions that Mr. Matos made up based on some data he got off of dating apps. That's not scientific. That's rubbish. And yet women in the media have taken to it like dogs on a bone. Articles popped up everywhere warning of this dire crisis for men. And the talking points then flooded TikTok and Instagram and continue to this day. But here's the problem. None of these articles presented comprehensive, peer-reviewed research confirming there actually was a male loneliness epidemic. It's pure conjecture built on cherry-picked data points that were designed to create a narrative, and one they knew women would just lap right up. One they knew that, while not based on facts, was sure to get lots of women clicking, reading, commenting, and liking. They decided that women's feels, were more important than facts. And the best way to get those feels was to come up with a way to explain why men were walking away from dating and marriage, and do so in a way that allowed women to cope and at the same time absolve those very same women from any responsibility in the whole thing. But as we all know, feels aren't facts. So let's look at what the data actually says.
You know, this guy's, yeah, I like this video. I mean, he's, not overly emotional about it. It's just facts. Just, hey, this is what the situation is, and here's how we got to where we are. And it's just typical about these trends on social media that have men as, the target of just a lot of bullshit, man. And too many people look for clicks and views, and they're getting them. They're getting them.
Now, let's be clear here. Are there men who feel lonely? Sure there are, just like there are lonely women. To say otherwise would be foolish. Loneliness affects people across all demographics. According to the U.S. Surgeon General's Advisory on Loneliness and Social Isolation, a report from May of 2023, men and women both experienced loneliness at comparable rates, with different social factors influencing each group. Or to put it another way, things were about equal. The data actually shows there isn't an apocalyptic male crisis. And crucially, the report didn't blame dating or walking away from marriage. What it cited was reduced community engagement, technology overuse, and pandemic after effects as the primary causes. Funny how that study or its findings never get mentioned by the women making those videos, and certainly weren't cited by Mr. Matos.
Hey, Trey, anytime you want to stop, just say something. Just let me know.
But let's go a step further. Other studies show that while men typically report fewer friendships than women, the ones they have are closer and more long-term. Put another way, when it comes to friendships, men seek quality, not quantity, which is pretty much the direct opposite of women. Further, other studies have shown that men thrive in solitude. In fact, do so far better than women do. A 2021 study in Frontiers in Psychology even found that men with fewer social contacts reported comparable or better life satisfaction when those connections were high quality. Data from the Office of National Statistics in the UK in 2020 showed that single men without children often reported higher life satisfaction scores than married men with families. Let that one sink in. That's something the mainstream media and all the women making their silly little videos don't know or are conveniently leaving out.
Go ahead, man.
I feel as though I'm not gonna go long on this. I feel as though somebody has said that before on this panel. I'll leave that alone.
Hey, listen, man. We could talk about it because listen, and Cam, I wish he wasn't such a cornball because he needs to tell these people, you know what, I'm happy with my life. I'm absolutely happy the way shit is. I don't need to be married. I take care of my kids. I pay the bills. I do all that shit. And so I don't need to hear you tell me that I should be put in a box, so to fit some social construct shit. I even take care of the women that I'm not even with no more.
And that's where I want to go with it, Boomer. I don't hear the women complaining.
That's right.
Even the same thing with the Nick Cannon thing.
Nick Cannon,
I don't see these women going crazy.
Right.
These women are not going crazy about these situations. Here's what I think it's very interesting about these entire scenarios with the Cams and the Nicks is that I think that there's people who think that the women should be outraged, but the women are inviting this. They have no problems with this. They're like, fine, this works for me. This is good for me. I get my bills paid. I'm attached to a successful, well-known man. I don't have to work. All I have to do is take care of my kids and live in a house that he bought me. Like, this is the life. I think a lot of people are frustrated that the women aren't as outraged. The women are like, yeah, this works for me. And so they know that if this is the way things continue to trend this way, because obviously it's always about trends, this is the things trend this way, they're like, yo, I might be in a situation where I might be baby mama number 3 to an athlete. Yeah, if that's what you choose. And in most cases, most of these women are. You are baby mama number 2 and 3 to this athlete.
Here's another thing that separates. I think I want to use the word quality. I think the quality of the women that Cannon has, a lot of those ladies have their own money too. They have him buffering them, right? And things of that nature. And they're not complaining because, and this is a little thing I always think about. Women over 40 years old or getting there or in their 30s and 40s who have children don't necessarily care about having a husband or a relationship like that because they hit their biological imperative. They have kids. Women in their 40s and up there with no kids and no guy are in a different situation. They're not the same. Their mentality is not the same. So these ladies found a guy they like. He's got money to take care of the kids. I wanted a baby. he gave me. And I don't have to have the pressure of a whole full relationship. This guy comes around on rotation. I know when he's going to come, and that's fine. And he doesn't give me no shit because you can't tell me those ladies ain't sucking somebody else's Johnson from time to time. They gotta be. Right? So Cannon ain't giving them no shit over that. Maybe he is, and we just haven't heard about it, but then they're on a down low because they ain't waiting for his rotation. He got like 8 of them. He can't get back to them, but what, once every other month or something? Get out of here.
And by the way, the Cam Newtons and the Nick Cannons, these are special cases. This is not the majority. Majority of men don't make the kind of money they make.
And
number
they can't
one,
do that. Right.
And they can't. Number two, they can't do what they do. So these are special cases, and majority of men, they're either going to have to make a decision of whether they want to get married or not. And what we're seeing here is we're just seeing men who are saying, "Nah, I'm not doing this." Because of all of the outside reasons that could potentially affect. When you're talking about you having to protect your marriage, maybe back in the day it was you had to protect your marriage from a meddling mother-in-law, or from a meddling, a friend or something like that, or you know what I mean. No, now you have to protect your marriage from social media and influence and TV and movies and music. And
it's more than you can have. Your hand's too short to box with God on that.
Yeah, it's like you're having to protect this thing more than you actually you're putting more energy and protection than you are in actually putting into the marriage in hopes that it doesn't fall apart by outside sources. And then on top of that, the women don't care. They will happily sleep with your husband. They will happily do it. They want your life.
Yeah. It's funny though, because what you just said about protecting your family from the influence. The only answer to that is if you don't have to, because your woman is not a social media hound. If she is, you're lost. There's no way you could curb her, because you know what I'm saying. The energy it would take to tell somebody who's addicted to social media is I don't think you could win that fight. And so it's not, you can't, the only answer is you can't be in that fight in the first place. So anyway.
Yeah, if you're dealing with a woman who and I say this all the time, the iPhone will tell you exactly how much time they spend on every app. Ask her to open it up and go look at how much time she spends on Instagram and TikTok. And you need to find out, because a lot of these women, they doom scroll. They're just constantly on this, and all they're being. You got to remember, the algorithm caters to you. I oftentimes do this on my ex account. I do this oftentimes, and I will like do something completely opposite of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, just see what happens.
All I'll see in my feed. Yeah, all I'll see in my feed now is what I was looking for. That was the opposite. Now, they build this on purpose because the goal is to keep you scrolling. And so you have women who I believe are truly extremely vulnerable when it comes to influence. I think women are the most vulnerable ever when it comes to influence. I think that these people, they know that, and they feed on that. They keep putting it down. If you say you don't like men, they just gonna keep sending you more and more and more and more. You don't like men? Okay, cool. More and more and more and more. They're gonna just keep feeding me.
Hey man, listen. It's just the way it is.
Which is why you won't hear on TikTok or Instagram that it's really women, especially those post 30, who are actually statistically lonelier than their male peers. A 2020 study in the journals of gerontology found that unmarried, childless women past the age of 40 experience significantly higher rates of loneliness and depression than men in the same category. More recent studies are showing that about 1 in 4 women are being treated for depression. And that doesn't include the many who are self-medicating with their boxed wine and Ambien. And look, I'm not saying that to crow or brag. In fact, if anything, I find it sad, appalling even. But it is reality, and one that we as a society need to face. More so, it's one that women in particular need to face, instead of making their silly little videos, which aren't helping them, but hurting them by driving even more men away. The fact of the matter is, men are doing just fine. In fact, they're thriving in their solitude. While sure, they'd love to find a happy, healthy relationship, They've also realized the odds of that happening with today's modern women are pretty slim. As I often say, men have done a risk versus reward assessment on relationships, and they've realized that they're far, far better off not being in one. And when you realize that, as well as the fact that biologically speaking, men are more likely to be happy on their own than women, it does not bode well for the future, does not bode well for society.
That's the sad part about all this, too, Trey, because, that's the sad part because social media and society, right, has us acting outside of our nature. And that's why it's so messed up, right? Because it's natural for men and women to be together and find a way to be together. That's what we've been doing forever. And they've had to, and that's why the machine is so big and so harmful, because it takes a lot to break that natural bond, right? It's like a doomsday bomb to actually say, for men's side or woman's side, I'm not even pointing fingers at the ladies or the men. The fact that we can't connect on a natural level other than just to have sex or do a transaction is an absolute travesty. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we are.
I completely agree with you. It's hurt both sides. I think the women got the brunt of it because, as I've said before, they're more vulnerable.
Right.
But it's hurt men too. We got a lot of dudes out here who think that they gonna pull the next Instagram baddie and they broke. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how it works. That's not how the game is played, sir. You know what I mean? Like, you have a lot of guys. Social media has not really helped when it comes to dating at all.
Yeah,
it really hasn't. It hasn't helped at all, and it's unfortunate because Instagram now is the #1 dating app.
Yeah, I heard.
More people are meeting on Instagram than any other time.
Yeah. We say, can I have your numbers? Can I have your Instagram?
Well, I prefer it. I need to see your resume. I need to see what are you into? Because see, I can do a lot of vetting just by looking at your Instagram. Instagram will tell me a lot about you. Yep.
Right. I agree with you. It's no doubt about it. Let me finish this guy. I know we got a little time clock a little bit.
Fact is, generally speaking, men are biologically and socially wired to find peace in solitude, while women, as social creatures, derive most of their emotional well-being from community and family. This isn't something new. It's well-established evolutionary psychology, but apparently it's also now considered controversial. Apparently, as we've seen in this case and many others, they've decided that feelings matter more than facts. So knowing all that, it leads us to the next question. Why are women doing it? Why are they running around by the thousands every day, claiming there's a male loneliness epidemic, and taking pure, unadulterated joy in thinking there actually is? Well, it's a way of coping with the reality that men have made it abundantly clear. They no longer want women, don't need them, and have decided their lives are going to be better off without them. What's actually happening here is textbook projection. Modern women facing declining dating prospects as they grow older, shrinking marriage rates, and the very real risk that they'll never have children as a result, are transferring their own feelings, their own loneliness onto men. This isn't a new tactic. It's a tried and true one that feminism has followed for decades now, where they take their experiences, women's experiences, not to mention their faults, their actions, and so on, and project them onto men. As any reasonable person knows, feminist narratives for decades have relied on taking traits and shortcomings from their own movement, things like bitterness, social withdrawal, and unhappiness, and then projecting them onto men in order to shift blame, shift responsibility. And that is what is happening now. It is what is happening with this loneliness myth. Today's women feel abandoned because men have opted out. But rather than ask why, women are choosing to label men as miserable and lonely so that they can feel superior. It's why they also love to say that men are emotionally unavailable, unwilling to commit. Yet the stats show it's women who are initiating 70 to 80% of divorces. And the reason they're filing them the majority of the time isn't because of adultery or abuse. It's because they're bored or think they can do better. It really does come down to that. So where does this take us? Well, here's the kicker. As I mentioned earlier, while women seem to think that bragging and taking joy over the possibility that there's a male loneliness epidemic, that this is somehow a good thing and that it proves they're boss bitches, it's anything but. What it really is something that fits their feels. It lets them believe that they don't need a man, but that men desperately need them, which isn't reality. It's pure fantasy. Fantasy even Disney would admire. And what it's actually doing is ensuring their own demise. Every smug video mocking men for allegedly being alone is only serving to push more men out of the dating market. Every condescending TikTok or Instagram video saying, "Good luck, boys, you're going to die alone," just makes another man realize he's better off not dealing with that toxicity. And that's why multiple studies have found that more and more men are choosing to stay single. And an ever-increasing portion of them are going to choose to remain that way for life. Not because they're desperate and can't find someone, but because they've seen what modern dating has become, seen how toxic today's modern women are, and they want no part of it. Men have done the analysis, done the research. They've seen just how toxic women have become and said, nope, we're done. We're walking away. And this leads us to another discussion. Sadly, this is beyond.
We'll just let it play for another minute, then we can do final thoughts. It's only a few minutes longer, but I don't want to waste it on it. Not waste it, but it's like 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think he's made his point.
Yeah. Just one more minute on this one.
Hypocritical. This narrative is actually dangerous. It feeds into a culture of male shaming and guilt tripping, one that has become the norm over the past few decades, which in the end has taught men to seek peace and fulfillment on their own and do so without women. And as I've said earlier, that doesn't benefit women, certainly doesn't benefit society, and honestly, really doesn't benefit men.
Right. So that's it. We know he's right. So he's got a lot of stuff here. There's enough here. Maybe we'll BMU put the link in there. But anyway, I mean, he's going to come down to the conclusion. There's no benefit in the fact that we're broken the way we are, and it's, we could point fingers all day, but society is going to, our country is on a teeter-totter from a whole lot of different ways. A whole lot of different ways. It's actually broken. And a lot of people don't realize that liberal white women have been the most dangerous voting bloc in the fucking world, man. I'm telling you. And I said it, liberal white women and I want to say, and the black women who follow them, but it's really liberal white women who have actually gotten their way, and the country's almost at its end because of it. It really is. And I'm gonna just say this, and it's not none of this shit is unrelated, right? Because if we had a good relationship between men and women, we wouldn't be at this brink of the end, because we would have enough conversation between the sexes to understand that you can't be everything goes, or you can't be too harsh. You got to know how to evolutionize certain things. But anyhow, but there's no male epidemic, and I don't know how men can fix this whole thing, right?
It's not on men to fix it.
There you go.
At the end, and here's the issue. The issue is that men checking out of society is harmful.
Say that again.
like men checking out of society is harmful.
Yes.
Like
yes.
men saying I'm good and just not wanting to have kids, not wanting to have a family, not wanting to make more money, start more businesses, be more inventions, ingenuities. Like this hurts every facet.
Yeah.
And when you just have guys who are perfectly fine with gooning at home to $8 chicks on computer screens and eating their chick in mama's basement, what you're going to see, again, you won't see it, Boomer. I probably won't see it in my time. But what you're going to see is you're going to see a failed society in America. That's what you're going to see.
Right.
America's going to crumble behind this if they don't get if this doesn't get fixed. America's going to crumble because it cannot sustain. This country cannot sustain men checking out of it. It will never last. If you take the responsibilities and put them on the women and say you think that the country is going to stand on the same two legs, it will not. The legs are weaker. And I hate to be that guy, but it's just the truth. The legs are weaker. If you put the weight on the women, the legs are weaker. This country was built on the backs of men for a reason. Right. And unfortunately, with the men checking out, it's just a matter of time.
And it's scary. And like you said, I'm closest to our kids. What kind of world they're going to be in is really, really crazy. And women take this as a slight, but they're not meant to lead and build like men are. You can't be builders and being boss with a whole bunch of men who are disinterested around. That's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it without the men's help. And the men who are still beholden to women for whatever reasons, the simps and all that kind of stuff, even though some of those guys could be builders, they've already acquiesced their leadership to women. They've already acquiesced, so they're perfectly fine being led by chicks, and the world's going to be the worse for it. I mean, just this whole blue state rebellion against the federal government. I don't care what side you're on. We've been through that once before, and I don't even want to say the word. We've been through a period of time when a series of states were in open rebellion against the federal government, and brother was fighting brother and killing brother. Cousins were killing cousins. You know what I'm saying? And I did a live here on BMU's channel. I says, or it might have been on my channel, might have been on live. I got a lot of views on that one on my channel. I said, if we had a civil war, I said, well, who's the enemy when your enemy is your brother and your cousin? Who do you know? I mean, and your siblings and all that kind of stuff, or cousins or whatever it is. I said, man, this is crazy. So anyway, the relationships between men and women are at the nexus of a lot of this stuff. And men have let women go out of control. I actually tell you the truth, I blame this on a white man.
I was just getting ready to say, you took the words right out of my mouth. The white men are to blame for this because they didn't keep their women under control.
Yeah,
and then it dripped down to black men and black women.
Right.
But white men were the ones whose women got out of control.
Right.
They didn't keep them in control.
Unless you know what? And the truth of the matter is, they really didn't vet the 19th Amendment enough. They really didn't.
No, look, they had it right the first time. When they came to them and the women said they wanted to vote, they told them you need to sign up for selective services. The women rejected it and said, fine, we don't want to vote then. We're fine. And they should have left it at that.
Should have left
it right there.
Right.
But you guys came back to them and said, okay, well, you guys can still vote. You don't have to worry about selective service. Well, that was that. Listen, there have been so many things that were put in place 100 years ago.
Yeah.
150 years ago that that's why I keep saying, when no disrespect to Dr. Steele, there are no solutions. There are options. There are adaptations. Yes. Passport Bros is an option, but it is not a solution. Right. There are no solutions to fix.
Yeah. Passport Bros is definitely not a solution. I mean, yeah, you're right. Hey man, I'm out about the NA. Appreciate you coming up, man. Thanks. We'll see you. You know where I'm at every Monday. All right. Hey, everybody. I think it was a good show. I think this was good. I mean, there's enough. Go look at replay. Don't be afraid to send a a thank you to Black Men Unfiltered Network. You could always give them something. What is if it's not a Cash App, it's something else. Thank you, little thing. And other than that, I'll be back next week with another one. If it hits me, some things hit me, right? I said, let me talk about this male loneliness epidemic and the fact that it's a myth. And I think you got enough. You go back and look at this on replay and listen. With that, we'll say I'm out of here. Hopefully, I'm gonna hit this end stream. Hopefully, the music will come on. No,
That's what America wants.